Thank you for those, Miigwech, for those beautiful, beautiful words and the wonderful welcome. I'm really, really deeply humbled. I first need to begin, of course, by following our indigenous protocols and acknowledge the custodians and the ancestors of the land. And it is an honor to be here in the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquian Nation. And I'd like to thank the organizers and sponsors of this event, including Monica Patterson, Angela Fowler, Lauren Bosk, Heather Galorte, Erica Lehrer, and all of those affiliated with the Thinking Through the Museum research team. I know it's a huge undertaking to get these types of things off the ground, and I'm very impressed with what they've accomplished. And it's a privilege, of course, to be asked to deliver this lecture, and thank you all for coming. And I also, again, want to give a special miigwech to that beautiful welcome from Dorothy and Laura. So thank you very much for your good words. As I said, it's just such a privilege for me to have this opportunity to address all of you and share some research that I've been working on for a while. And I have some prepared remarks this evening, and I really hope that we'll have an opportunity for a robust dialogue as well. Now, I have spent the last 16 years researching the representation of Native American history and memory at both national and tribal museums. And the work has taken me to the British Museum in London, the Minnesota Historical Society and the Mille Lacs Indian Museum, the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian, and the Zebwing Center of Anishinaabe Culture and Lifeways, and they reach final form in my book, Decolonizing Museums, Representing Native America in National and Tribal Museums. And this image that you're looking at here is actually from the Zebwing Center of Anishinaabe Culture and Lifeways. And I really appreciate your point about this shift, right, where we, historically our communities have seen museums as these places that represent frozen, static cultures. And it's really wonderful to see with the tribal museum movement, our communities call these places cultural centers. I mean, that is very, very intentional that they have that name. And of course, the Saginaw Chippewa community decided to call their museum a center of Anishinaabe culture and lifeways. And as I said, the book, Decolonizing Museum, focuses on the representation of Native Americans in museum exhibitions at the National Museum of the American Indian and the two tribal museums that I mentioned, the Mille Lacs Indian Museum in Minnesota and the Zebwing Center in Michigan. Now, through an analysis of the dynamic and complex process of determining exhibition content at these institutions, I explored the changing representation of Indigenous history and memory in a diverse group of museums that hold significant Native American collections. In my analysis, considerable attention is given to the museological shift from curator-controlled presentations of the Native American past to a more inclusive or collaborative process, one where Indigenous people are actively involved in determining exhibition content. And the work critically examines the complexities of this relationship between Native Americans and museums, both the positive outcomes as well as the challenges that remain. And the three museums featured in the manuscript embody this important ideological shift in contemporary museum practice. Now, while the museum study literature has emphasized the positive new directions these collaborative projects represent, this celebratory literature tends to obscure the neo-colonial practices that persist. So I seek to complicate the mission accomplished type of scholarly literature as it potentially does a grave disservice to Indigenous communities. Hence the title here. I'm looking at both the successes and ongoing challenges because we can't say that this is a mission accomplished, the project is complete. Now, my overarching argument is rooted in the belief that museums should address the legacies of historical unresolved grief that persist in our communities. Now, central to my analysis is exploring how museums can serve as sites of decolonization through honoring Indigenous knowledge and worldview, and by discussing the hard truths of colonization in exhibitions in an effort to promote healing and understanding. I share your commitment to art as healing as well, Laura. Several of the sites that I examined move us forward with our efforts to decolonize museums through the privileging of Indigenous voice and perspective, serving as sites of knowledge-making and remembering for our own communities and the general public, and by challenging stereotypical representations of Native people produced in the past. Further critical discussion and hard work, however, needs to occur. And I see the goals of this particular workshop is certainly in line with this commitment, again, to kind of critically analyzing, again, the current state of museum practice. It's really exciting to be here, to be a participant. Now, my goal with this project is to advance the dialogue on what a decolonizing museum practice involves and extend our understanding of the potential of museums to be sites of conscience and decolonization. And this decolonizing project involves more than moving museums away from being, elitist temples of esoteric learning, and even more than moving museums towards providing forums for community engagement. A decolonizing museum practice must be in the service of speaking the hard truths of colonialism, and the purpose is to generate the critical awareness that is necessary to, again, assist our communities in addressing the ongoing legacies of historical unresolved grief.